All right. So a short drive across the park gets us to the second mark on the lake. Sorry, on the park. I don't want to fish the middle one. People have done very well there, but with the weather conditions, it's a little prohibitive. Just look around. I mean, it's just amazing. Middle of November. No one around. Water's gin clear again, as you'd expect. You can see even more over here. That is very, very clear. It's very low as well. We haven't had a huge amount of rain up here, so the last week or so we've had rain, but you can see how far down the lake is. That's really low. Another good thing about this time of year is that there's not too many birds pooping everywhere. I mean, I know this looks bad, but give it a month or so when the seagulls start sitting up here, it's everywhere. You'll see if I come back over again. Just an amazing place. One of my favourite places to fish. So let's get the gear down. We're going to do the same as we did up at the other mark. We're going to have one on the float, and then one on the spinners and jigs. We've got the gear in here. We've got the luxury of a nice little hut here. I believe back in the day, the people that went before us paid to have duck hides here. They're long gone. I haven't seen anybody shooting from the shore for a couple of years. You get duck blinds down the other end of the lake, but they tend to be homemade and on the shore. I've never seen anyone shooting from here. I don't even know if you can anymore. So we're already set up. We're going to get straight into it, but what we're going to do is we're going to set that float quite a bit deeper, and we're going to have it in front of us so we can see what's going on. So we are going to set that float like 6 or 7 feet, something like that. Leave it a little bit more. In fact, now we'll put it right up. Now, one thing to notice about the way I've set this up, I've only got about 5 or 6 feet of 15-pound fluorocarbon on here. And the reason I did that is I've been fishing the streams lately where the maximum depth is only about 6 foot. Bit of an impromptu trip over here today. What I should have done is taken this fluorocarbon off and put a length of maybe 30 or 40 feet on it, which meant I could already get my my bobber down. But knowing I've had some very good success here, right out in front of me, fairly shallow, I think we'll go with this. And I like it to be right in front of me, so I can keep an eye on it. And then what I like to do is pull this back so the bait caster bit locks into the table. And again, I don't know whether you can see that. A few spots of blood. So somebody's been catching. In fact, what I think we will do, because I like to sit on this corner, is we're going to move that. We'll move that over to the left. One thing I want you to think about in your fishing as well. You don't always need to cast it out to the horizon. I'll tell you why. As everybody do when you go home. If you're fishing bait, what do most people do? Chuck it in. Underhand like this. Where do you think most of that bait lands? Right in front of you. What's the point of casting out miles? Now everything's got, in fact I'm going to leave that on the clutch. I'll leave that on the free spool. Everything's got its exceptions, but you see what I mean? I mean, you know, here's some worms or a couple of saw bellies. It's time to go. You pack your gear up. What are you going to do? Get rid of them like that. There's only so many times you can take them home. So I've caught fish right in front of me down here, and you can see them. You know, you'll see fish, they'll come and cruise in, they'll come and cruise in front of you. I've seen fish take bobbers right in front of me where I threw those stones. Some good fish as well. So let's mix it up. We'll have one in short and close on the bait, and then we'll have another one a long way out on the spinner. So again, excuse me for the dodgy camera work. We'll start off with the pink one with the silver blade, but we'll give this a really good go with spinners. It's a lot more pleasant down here. The sun's out, there's hardly any wind, the island breaks the wind, the hide obviously breaks the wind. We can tuck in there if we like. If it does get too cold and windy, we're fishing one right in front of us. So let's give it a go. More rubbish that people just chuck down there and leave it behind. We'll take that one with us when we go. I've got some gulps as well. I've got some jig heads, and we'll try a little bit of everything. But let's see how we get on with the spinners first of all. What we're going to do here is we're going to cast these out a long way. One in close, one a long way out. And what I like to do, is wait for that to hit the bottom. So there's a way I do that. So if you see that line there, I hope you can see it. I'm not sure whether you'll be able to, but I can describe it anyway. That line's going out on a tight line. So that weight and that spinner is starting to come back to us like a pendulum effect. And what it allows you to do is you can kind of count it down until it hits the bottom. How do we know when it's hitting the bottom? You don't need to count it down here. I know there's hardly any snags. There's a few gravel patches, there's a few bits of weed, but it's mainly flat. I know that when that's hit the bottom, that line will go slack. And I know it's fairly deep out there, and I know I've got to wait, I don't know, 30 seconds or so. But think about that in your fishing. Are you fishing deep enough? Especially for lake trout and things like that, they're going to be on the bottom. They're not going to be up in the water. So if you're pulling that spoon or that spinner way above their head, they're not going to take it. One high in the water and close. One low in the water and far out. Cover the eventualities whilst you're out here. If I had a third rod, right, you see that now? That's on the bottom. See the way it's slackened off? I know that's on the bottom. So, let's start pulling this back in. Again, I kind of like to go to the left, just because I do. Start off at a fairly steady retrieve. But we're gonna fish a few ways. We're gonna fish on the bottom for Lakers. We're gonna count down for salmon and browns. As the salmon are spawning, they're likely to be at the creeks. So I think our best chance will be for a Laker. So we're gonna fish it We're going to fish deeper than shallower, if you see what I mean. And we're going to mix up the colours of the spinners. I haven't got the wind problem here that I had up at the other point, so I can fish some lighter spinners as well. Again, mix it up. Light, heavy, different colours, different blades. Let them tell you what they want. That's looking really nice. Oh, look at that. Pick that feather up. With all the water around it, it hit that feather. That's fishing to a T, that is. I'm going to fan cast it, which means I'm going to cast all the way around in front of me. See that? If I let that go like that, that's just sinking more or less straight down. If I engage the bail, that's going back like a pendulum. Now, there's times where you just want it to go straight down. There's other times where you want to be able to see and count it down. Remember, that's coming back towards you all the time. I don't want to do all the maths and everything, but it's like, if it's 60 meters out there and you've got X amount of line out and it's falling at a certain rate, I'm sure you can work it out. My rule of thumb is, I know how deep it is out there roughly. I've been over here with a kayak many times. Plus I've fished here many, many times. Let it drop, let the line go slack, start winding. Beautiful day. Now I know out in front of us it's fairly deep, fairly flat. It slopes off very, very quickly down here. So the right here where the, I don't know what they call them, they're marker buoys for the, to keep the boats out the swimming area. You see how much deeper that spot is there? It's taken a lot longer to go down. That shows you the topography of the bottom by doing that. Just inside these buoys here, it's got a weedy area. You get pike and all sorts in there. You get pike around that platform, but that's way out of casting distance. All right, so that one's down now. Goes the bail. I'm going to go to the right this time. All I want to do is to feel that spinner thumping, feel that spinner working. Now, if you want a real thump, 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 get yourself a Colorado blade. If you want a faster spin and not so much thump, that's going through some weed. I can feel that now. That's going through a weed. Let's try and get that off. If you want a faster spin, go with a willow. If you want somewhere in between, go with an Indiana. There's a fish. Fish on. Fish on. That is a nice one. Now I reckon that's a lake trout. Look at that. Second or third cast. Second or third cast and we're in on that spinner. I said about the pink, didn't I? I said about the pink. I didn't say about getting that all tangled up. Let's see what we can do about that. Where are you going, my friend? You're going down that way. Alright, let's see if we can get this untangled without it being too much of a drama. Oh, he's come off. Oh, he's come off. That may have even been a pike. That's annoying. If we hadn't had that bobber in, I think we would have landed that. So, we're going to move it, right? At least we hooked one. Back in a minute. Alright then, after that slight faux pas, I had a little bit of a moment off camera and then I decided to see what else I've got that's similar. So, I have the same jig. I don't have the blade with the pink strip in it, and I don't have the pink dress treble either, but I do have this. So this blade is pretty cool. I took some trimmings on it, made some sabikis. I filled it full of resin, and it gives like a strobe effect as it's coming through the water. These blades are really cheap. I'm just using them as experimentals. So let's see what happens. Now, I'm pretty sure that I don't think that was a pike. I think it was a Laker, and I think it probably bit through that 8-pound fluorocarbon, which it's always a trade-off, right? If you go too thick, you run the chance of them maybe seeing it. If you go too thin, they break off. I've never had one break off before on 8-pound. That's the first time ever. So I've got some wire traces, so I'm going to use them just in case it is a pike or if there's a big Laker down there. I make these myself. I do another video at some stage on how I do them. That's tied to a swivel straight to the main line. Okay, and then a bit of a swivel and snap cacophony down here as well. I like a few swivels on the line so they don't twist. You can see that from the last few casts. Everything was coming back nice and clean. Right, so let's crack on and see if we can get another one. I'm just pleased we hooked one. I really am. It's been such a long time since I fished over here, and every time I fished over here prior to this, I've blanked, or I've had maybe one fish. Third cast, and off we go. So let's hope we can do it again. I've got plenty of other colours as well, so I'm going to give this a little bit of a tank test. See what that's swimming like. If I don't like it, I'll change it to a different colour, but I'll make sure that there's a French blade rather than a Colorado. Yeah, it's coming back all right. I'm not getting much of a thump from it. But let's give it a go. Only one way to find out, isn't there? That's the kind of general direction it came from. So again, put that on there. And we live in hope. So I didn't have my pliers out last time. This time I do. All these little edges build up. So if we hook something, and hopefully land it this time, we'll be able to get the hook out fairly quickly. So I think that's a little bit more to the right than it was previously. Still going down, down, down. Down it goes.